Hello, I am Kelly Carius, and I am here with my life skills family at World Unity Week. This is an amazing experience, and just the idea that so many people can come together and can really bring it and do things and make things happen in the world is just hugely important. And I want to first of all thank Marlene Cover for the invitation to do this and to spread the word about no such thing as a bully to people around the world. So my journey with the bullying issue started quite young. But I didn't think it was going to become no such thing as a bully just based on my own childhood experiences. So I was bullied kind of through elementary school up to grade 6 in a lot of the ways that people typically are and the ways that people often experience in elementary school. My mom was a teacher in the school, and I think that made things a little bit difficult for her because in terms of where do you go for help and how do you get that help? I mean, things were different then. This was the 70s, and it was a little bit more, everything was a little bit more wild at that time. So I handled it myself. And in grade 7, I switched to a different school just naturally because there was a split at grade 6 and 7. And when I showed up in grade 7, I showed up with a jean jacket and a pack of cigarettes and my fists clenched, and I beat up a boy in the boys' bathroom. And I thought that was kind of the end of my bullying journey. So life goes on as it does. And in my 20s, with 2 babies on my hips, I went back to university and got my social work degree. I spent 1 year working for government, and I could not make it work for myself. I am too unruly to work in a government position. I would see things that I felt needed to change and just had no means to make them change. I was in meetings with managers a lot saying, this is wrong and this is wrong and we need to fix this. And of course, government does not welcome so much that kind of feedback. And I ended up staying in that child protection position for 1 year exactly. I started on January 1st and I left that position at the end of that year on December 31st, exactly 1 year. And so I decided to start a private practice. I really wasn't even sure what that was going to be. I had so much advice saying, don't do it. Are you crazy? You only have a bachelor's degree. You need to have a master's degree to have a private practice. You don't have the right kind of mentors to have a private practice. The community is too small to have what social worker even has a private practice? And so I was met with a lot of resistance about it. And then even my family saying, you're leaving, you're just going to dump that government job and that government pension that we were all so happy to see you get. And so there was resistance coming all over the place. And I didn't know exactly what this was going to be, but I did know that I had to go along with my social work degree. I had a mediation certificate, and I had some natural skill at determining conflict and helping people work their way through conflict. So boom, away I went. And I had a bunch of really interesting first cases. And one of them was an advocacy case. And it started with one client coming to me saying that her child was having trouble with a teacher in school. And so I met with mom and I said, maybe we try to approach the teacher and see if we can get a sit down, kind of a mediation. And yeah, she thought that that was a good idea. So I knocked on that teacher's door, teacher slash principal. He was in both roles. And we had a conversation for a few minutes when I suggested that we could all sit down and work our way through this. I was essentially asked to leave. And so I was like, wow, this is quite the experience. I did not really expect to be asked to leave. So I just kind of kept working with the mom and the daughters separately, and trying to help them cope with this the best that they could. And I was seeing, that so often that is the case. It's like we're not actually making the solutions happen. We're just kind of teaching people how to cope with it. So time went on, a little bit more time, and a few more parents are having some problems. And then Remembrance Day weekend came in November. And the parents who were already having some problems or had spoken out about the problems that their kids were having, and myself, started phoning on that Remembrance Day long weekend so that the kids couldn't talk to each other and we could just see who else is having problems with this, what is happening here. And by the end of that, we had 20 sets of parents who were having problems, whose kids were having problems with this teacher slash principal in the classroom. So I became an advocate for that group of parents and quickly recognized that that this situation was going to be nearly impossible to deal with. We went up the ladder. We went to the director of education, to the school board, to the Teachers Federation, to the government agencies that oversee schools, like the Ministry of Education, a little farther up because we weren't getting any action on this, a little farther up to the Ombudsman, to the Children's Advocate, nothing. There was a period of time where there was a camera put into the classroom, and that was not helpful in any way because there was very little time for anyone to actually watch what was being videotaped in the classroom. And at the end of the year, the teacher just went to a different school, which also felt really appalling to me in terms of how we handle these problems. And so we thought that that was concluded. I did get some calls from the school where the teacher went to next, and I said, here's what we did, but I can't follow along and and keep following this person and chasing after them. I'm going to get myself in trouble. Here's what we did. Maybe you can do some of that as well. So now it's summertime, and I have a letter in my hand for a client that I'm seeing from a chief psychiatrist saying, bullying is a problem in your community, and this client has PTSD from being bullied. So, and someone has to do something about it. So here I am now with a letter in my hand saying someone has to do something about it. And so I put in a proposal to do a peer mediation training for the school district. And before I knew it, there was an article in the paper saying that I was banned from all of the schools, and these were schools where my children attended, that I was not qualified to do the work that I was doing, and that I was being investigated by my ethics committee. Once that article came out, I spent the whole next year being banned from the schools, and of course pushing and pushing and pushing against that ban, and waiting for my ethics committee investigation to conclude. And when it did, I sued the director of education, and we settled that out of court to the benefit of my lawyer, as these things tend to go. But it was a real eye-opener for me in terms of when we are talking about bullying, how are we talking about it? I was seeing I was seeing bully actions going all over the place in that situation, from the parents to the school board, from the director of education to me, from me back to the director of education at times. And then I was thinking about how do we expect our kids to do any better? If this is what we're seeing, if this is what I'm seeing in the adults in this situation, how on earth do we expect our kids to do any better? And I can't go up to the director of education and just say, you're a bully. I'm just going to get laughed at and, kind of waved off, because the definition does not fit. And it doesn't fit for our kids either. And so in that situation, my mind just kind of was going a mile a minute and looking at, well, what do we need to do differently? How do we need to treat this differently? And what do we need to teach people so that they are not vulnerable to bullying, and so they are not vulnerable to using bully actions? And so away I went with No Such Thing as a Bully. So I have a couple of stories for you about the reason that this is called No Such Thing as a Bully. Nowhere in this material do I use the words bully or victim as labels. The labels that other people put on us have huge ways of shaping our entire lives. We might choose to put some labels on ourselves. I might choose to have the label mom. I might choose to have the label grandma. And I can also choose what that means to me. When someone else is putting that label on us, it becomes them choosing who we are and telling us who we are. So a couple of reasons to pull that word bully as a label out of this issue. If I go up to a parent and I say, hey, parent, your kid is a bully. If they don't see their kid like that, and they don't, they're not going to accept any solutions that I offer based on that problem definition. So if I say, this is the problem is that your kid is a bully. Here, I have some solutions to help you solve that problem, that your kid is a bully. And they're like, hey, my kid's not a bully. That is not how I see my child at all. We're just at a dead stop there. There's nowhere to go with that problem definition to move towards actually solving the problem. Now, if I come up to that same parent and I say, your kid's using some bully actions. We all use bully actions. We all use victim responses. Here's a set of skills that the school is using to prevent bully actions and victim responses. And here is a membership, a program, a book for you to use in your home with those same skills and work with them in your home. And in this way, we are strengthening our youth so that they don't feel like they have to use either bully actions or victim responses. Now we have a whole different scenario, because most parents can say, when you say, oh, well, this is what your kid did at school today, most parents can go, yeah, you know what, sometimes my kid can be a little bit like that. And so when we change that problem definition, we open up a whole bunch of new solutions. Now, I've got two other reasons why it's a good idea to pull those labels away. In one school that I was in, I was standing in front of a grade 1 classroom. So these are 6-year-old kids, maybe some were 7. And I often start out asking, who in here is a bully? Put up your hand if you're a bully. And usually you get like some laughs and some giggles, and there might be some, pointing at someone else. And in this room, this little boy said, I'm a bully. And when I said to him, well, I bet you've used some bully actions, but I don't think you're a bully, he stood up out of his desk and he said, yes, I am. Yes, I am a bully. And then later on, in that same community in the evening, I was at the grocery store. I was in that community for a week at that school. And so now I'm in the grocery store, and there's a little girl in there and her mom, and this little girl is tugging on her mom's hand, and she says, Mom, it's the bully lady. And this mom turns around and so loud and with such aggression says, thank goodness you're here, because bullying is there is a kid in that school that is such a big bully. My kid doesn't even want to go to school. And I instantly went to that little boy who stood up out of his desk and said, I'm a bully. And I thought, oh, I wonder if it's him. And that made me really think about the power that people can take from those labels if they want to. There's going to be a lot of people when they look at this material from No Such Thing as a Bully, who take power from that label of bully, and they're not going to want to have that taken away. And there is also some power for some people in the label victim. And so when we pull those labels away, we open up all of these other solutions, and we just really make a clear pathway to what the actual solutions are to this issue. Third story, sort of a visualization. Picture one person in the middle of a circle of people. Now, this could be adults, this can be kids, it doesn't matter. The dynamics are the same. Picture one person in the middle of a circle of 10 other people. And now, each of those 10 people say one thing to the person in the middle, or they do one thing to the person in the middle of the circle. None of those 10 people on the outside are going to say that they're a bully. They're going to say that they did a thing. Yeah, that was mean. That was unkind. They're not going to say that they're a bully. And yet, in the middle of that circle, we have a person who absolutely is bullied. How can we have a person who's bullied if we don't have any bullies on the outside of the circle? We can't if we're looking at it in a traditional way. But if we move towards the idea that everyone uses bully actions and everyone uses victim responses, and one set of skills solves both, we can see now how that cycle of bullying can happen, even if no one in the situation is saying, hey, I'm a bully, or defining themselves as a bully. Huge, amazing reasons to pull those labels away and start having a different approach. So then, what's the different approach? The different approach is life skills. And that is why I feel so honored to be here in the life skills room at World Unity Week. I think that I believe that the answer is found in life skills, and in a lot of life skills that we just don't typically get as we're growing up and going through our schooling, and we might not get them at home because our families don't know them. So here's the solution that I am providing to make a big change in this issue. We pull away the labels and we provide the life skills, but we don't just provide them to the kids in the school. We don't just speak from a stage and say, oh, when you're mean to other people, you hurt them and you hurt yourself. We don't just do that. We give them other things to do. So in No Such Thing as a Bully, you'll find lessons like managing your fight or flight response, recognizing your fight or flight response and being able to manage it and bring it down when you need to, and use it when you need to use it. We talk about feelings, about how often as human beings, we just don't share how we're feeling. And we take our feelings and we stuff them down, or we set them aside, or we just don't even know what they are. There's a lot of people in the world who will express anger, but not express emotion. And really, there's always, I feel that there's always an emotion that society feels is weaker underneath anger. So things like fear, things like anxiety underneath anger, all of those things that we find hard to express out loud can just come out in anger. And if we can take a step back and go, you know what, I'm going to accept these emotions, I'm going to allow them in, and I'm going to speak them out, we prevent a ton of bully actions just by teaching ourselves to be able to do that. Now, so it's a little, it's easy to say, and it's something that you have to kind of take into your life and actually live day to day in order to implement. With No Such Thing as a Bully, we give a different definition for bullying. We all kind of know the vague definitions that you can put in a Google search and find all kinds of vague definitions for bullying. What No Such Thing as a Bully does is it breaks it into 9 points. So we need to have someone in the situation who has a high bullying value frame of reference. We need an action that is hurtful and repeated. And we need someone in the situation that has a high victim response frame of reference. So with these frames of reference, with a high bullying value frame of reference, desire to hurt, superior power and enjoyment, desire for control and contempt, we can ask questions about those particular qualities, and we can see, are these dynamics in this situation? Is this something that exists in this situation? We can look at the action, hurtful and repeated. Is it something that's repeated? Is it hurtful? And then we look at the other person and see, is there a high victim response frame of reference? So is this someone who feels vulnerable, who feels a sense of oppression and feels like they're being treated unjustly? And so when we start to look at this in a mindful way, instead of just kind of going, ugh, conflict, ugh, fighting, ugh, bullying, what is this? I don't like this, because we don't tend to like to deal with conflict. But when we start looking at it in a mindful way, we can really start to see, is this just a conflict that kids are having? We don't want to step in real quick on the conflicts that our kids are having. We want to be able to teach them and coach them through those conflicts, but we don't want to rescue them, because otherwise, how will they learn for themselves to deal with conflict? So we need to be able to assess, what is this? Is this a situation where they have equal power and it's just a kid-to-kid conflict that they need to work through? Or when we look at our 9 points, is this a situation where there is a power imbalance, and where somebody is enjoying hurting someone else, and where someone is feeling vulnerable? Then we know, okay, maybe this is something that I need to step into, or maybe this is something that I need to grab some extra skills from No Such Thing as a Bully and work through them with my child. So we need to be able to measure that, even knowing whether something is assault. I've had parents come to me and say, well, my kid is being bullied. And when we work through it, it's like, nah, your kid was assaulted. And so we have to know what something is so that we know what steps to take. So with No Such Thing as a Bully, we provide licensing to schools. So we will certify people within the schools to speak to all of these lessons found in No Such Thing as a Bully. I only named 2, there's 23 more. We provide teachers with memberships so that we can support them, even if maybe their school doesn't use No Such Thing as a Bully, or sometimes schools aren't really managing bullying at all. And so a teacher has to say, well, I'm going to take this into my own hands. We provide memberships for parents. And again, whether a school is doing something about bullying or not, doesn't matter. You can use this in your home. It will absolutely improve your family's communications. It will improve your work life. It will improve your child's life at school. These are really, really top-notch, important skills. So parent memberships, teacher memberships, school licensing, and then we also have a certification program that anybody can get involved in. And maybe, maybe there's somebody out there listening right now who's like, I've wanted to do something about this, but I haven't had the means to do it. Come in under our wing at the No Such Thing as a Bully movement, and let us support you with the work that you want to do in the field of bullying as well. In order to join this No Such Thing as a Bully movement, we make it really simple. If you're not sure that this is the route you want to go yet, I invite you to join facebook.com/groups/NSTAB challenge. And that is our public Facebook group where you just kind of start hearing about the ideas. You'll have a chance in there if you want to have a meeting with me privately about how I can help. You may want to jump into our entry programs, and we have one for schools and we have one for parents. Bully Proof Your Home and Bully Proof Your School. Really inexpensive, because that is a huge part of this for me, is that we need to get the word out there to as many people as possible. And so we want to keep people's ability to jump into this movement. We want to make it really easy and really accessible for you. So join that Facebook group. Ask me about the $47 entry programs, Bully Proof Your Home and Bully Proof Your School. You can reach me by emailing kelly@nosuchthingasabully.com, or old-fashioned pick up the phone and give me a call, 403-447-4404, or just hop on over to the website, nosuchthingasabully.com, and there's a couple of free downloads there, 11 things to do if your child is being bullied, 11 things to do if your child is bullying, as well as a little book called The Key Method, which outlines my own value system and the value system that No Such Thing as a Bully is built under. And I am excited to hear from you. I am excited to spread this word about No Such Thing as a Bully and bring people into this movement. I am firmly convinced that great ideas, with the help of things like Parenting 2.0, Life Skills 2.0, and World Unity Week, that when we all come together and start talking about these great new ideas, we in earnest change the world. And I would love to have you on the No Such Thing as a Bully team doing just that. My name is Kelly Carius. This has been No Such Thing as a Bully at World Unity Week 2021. Such an honor to be here. And I hope that you find a nugget of wisdom in this information and run away and use it immediately. And again, connect with me, Kelly@nosuchthingasabully.com. Bless you all.